Hello there, and welcome to another episode of Piano TV. So today I'm going to share with you the answer to the question of, so how do I keep track of all my lesson assignments and my practice goals and yada yada yada? And my answer is so simple that you might just totally disregard this video and be like, who needs that? That's like 1 + 1 = 2. But it's actually a lot more useful than it might seem at a first glance, and that thing is the practice journal. With a capital P and a capital J. So here's my practice journal. It's just a super plain, kind of beat up already, just a Hilroy thing. I mean, it's what I had laying around at the time, but if you're feeling fancier, feel free to get a fancier notebook. And I like to decorate it with stickers, because stickers are awesome. And I don't know, what's happier than having some like random flowers and happy animals like this opera owl here. There's nothing happier than an opera owl. On a basic level, I use the practice notebook to keep track of my practice goals. So what I usually do is on Sunday evening, I'll sit down with the notebook and I'll write down everything I'm working on and where I'm at and what I want to accomplish in that week. So that might be a tempo goal, like speeding it up a little bit, or mastering a little tricky part, like smaller parts of bigger pieces, that kind of thing. So I try to write as realistic of goals as possible, like something I can actually accomplish. Well, that also pushes me a little bit too, so I don't just be lazy. So here's an example of that. This is really nothing fancy. This page is mostly tempo goals, and it's messy and it makes sense to me, and that's the important part. In my notebook, I also like to keep track of how much I've been practicing, like the amount, because there's a couple of reasons for that. One, it helps keep me on track, because I don't know about you, but if I don't keep track of my practice time, what ends up happening is I'll spend like a disproportionate amount of time on a song that maybe I really am enjoying, but I'll completely neglect something else that maybe is a little bit more like work to me, scales and stuff like that. So that's why I keep track of my practice time, just to keep everything balanced. But another reason is it's just kind of interesting, because if you're keeping track of how much you work on a piece from start to finish, you can then go and see, well, how many hours did it take me to get this piece from start to finish? You can kind of analyze your own practice habits like that. I also like to make notes about how practice is going. So say I had the goal to speed up a song 10 beats per minute, but it only got like 5 beats per minute faster because then it turned into like a sloppy mess. I'll make a note of that. I'll be like, turned into sloppy mess, past 5 beats per minute. Just little things like that to make sense of something. Or say I ace something, I do really well, and give myself a sticker that says wow, something like that. Positive reinforcement. And another thing that, this is almost like journal type entries that you can make, but I like to do this, I find it really interesting, is make notes of how your practice sessions went. Like, did you have a really hard time one day? Or maybe you had a practice session that went really well, really smoothly. Keep track of the time of day. Is it morning, afternoon, etc.? Is your stomach empty or full? Was there coffee involved? Those kind of things can help you discover when your optimal practice times are. So for me, I find I play the best in the mid-afternoon, like between 2 to 4, but I have the best mental focus in the morning, because I don't know why, I just can get more absorbed in a task in the morning, and usually with coffee involved. And I mean, it's a journal, so you can really do anything with it. One thing that I like to do as well is sometimes I get plagued with random thoughts while I'm playing. So like maybe I'm like thinking to myself while I'm playing, I wonder how fast Angela Howitt played this spot or something like that, and then I can't get it out of my head, and the whole time I'm practicing I'm just like thinking about this thought. So that's disruptive to practice, right? So then what I like to do is write those thoughts down, and then after I'm done practicing at a better time when I can actually devote my mental focus to that question, I can then take it to Google and answer it, or whatever it may be. Another thing I like to jot down is any observations you notice about the sound or the piece itself. Like, I noticed that this piece sounds best at night. Really like brings out the atmosphere, things like that. I also like to collect information in my practice journal. So say you're on YouTube and you find a really good performance of a song that you like, make a note of it. Like say you found a great Daniel Barenboim performance of a Beethoven sonata. Make note of it so you can reference it later. Or like what I like to do sometimes, I did a list of 5 different recordings of one piece and just kind of talked about, compared and contrasted them, that kind of thing. Or if you discover like a fun fact, or if you have a fun quote. I like collecting all these things because it just makes your journal more interesting to look back on if that's something that you're into. And one more note is that my practice journal is also where I keep my memorized repertoire list, which I talked about in the last video. So if you didn't see that, click on the thing. I'll leave it in the description bar below, the link, so you can check that out if you missed it. And like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I know it doesn't seem like a spectacular revolutionary thing, and it's not, but it's really useful. It will help you in your practicing adventures to learn more about yourself and music. So that's all for today's video. Thank you for watching, and as always, feel free to subscribe and check out the blog pianotv.net, where I post all the videos and, you know, little sheets and stuff like that. Handouts and sheet music and sheets, lots of sheets. Toodaloo. Just puts me in a good mood to look at that opera owl.